Hello everyone，大家好，你们怎么样？今天有没有我的老朋友我不知道 Laura 你们在不在？Hello everyone, welcome to another Chinese class，欢迎你们来到奔放老师的中文课我是奔放。今天我们会学习一个很有意思的话题，那就是在中国租房子Today we are going to learn how to rent a house in China. The words may be a little bit difficult, but those are very practical ones you can use immediately when you're going to China to rent a house, to sign a contract. Those are the key elements you need to know about how to rent a house in China 好，所以现在首先我先介绍一下我自己你好 Max，你好弟弟我是奔放，我是中文老师，我已经教中文10年了。I have been teaching Chinese already 10 years。我是一名孔子学院的持证老师。I'm a certified teacher from the Confucius Institute, and I'm very happy to be here. 我很高兴来到这儿给大家上直播课。I'm very happy to be here to share the interesting topics with you guys. 所以现在我们开始吧。Since we have a lot of contents to cover, let's just get started. 好，现在我要分享我的屏幕好的 ，Going to share my screen. 好，Let's take a look. 好的，新的朋友你们可以加我的微信群The new friends, feel free to join the WeChat group in order to get a new update about the live streaming classes. 今天我们学习租房子星期五我们还有一节课 ，Friday we have another class。星期五的课简单一点The Friday class is more easy 今天的课 HSK 3、4一点难，一点有挑战性a little bit challenging。可是我觉得Carol、Naya，我觉得你们也可以学习。Although it's difficult, I think you guys also can pick up something 有用的知识 ，something useful 非常好。好好的我们开始你好，美法丽，你好很多朋友，很高兴又见到你们好的，所以在中国我们说房子的时候有两个意思。In China, when we talk about the 房子 house, the concept of house it has two meanings， 有两个意思。在中国房子大部分时间是一套房子，是一个公寓是一套公寓。So in China, when we talk about 的房子 the picture in our mind is more a flat, an apartment. Flat apartment in Chinese is 公寓. And the major word for house, we will use 套. So a flat is a set of rooms, right? So there's a kitchen, the living room, so all the rooms 房间所有的房间在一起，这是一套房子。All the rooms together, it's a set of flat， 一套房子。可是，在别的国家，比如在美国房子有另外一个意思I think in United States, in most of the places, 房子 have another meaning, which is like the individual house. So those kind of house, we don't use 套 instead we use the measure word 个很简单个一个房子一个房子 individual house 一个房子如果这个房子有2层if the house has 2 floors 2层我们可以说一个2层的房子一个2层的房子 a house with 2 floors 我们也可以说一个3层的房子a house with 3 floors 一个3层的房子 However, if we back to the Chinese side, we don't say the whole building as a house. Instead, the whole building, we call it 楼 楼 楼 the building is 楼 and the measure word for the building, for something big, we will use 座 座 A building is 一座楼一座楼 or 一座山 a big mountain 一座山But on the Western world, here is more 一个房子一个房子，非常好。好the compound in China, we have 很多座楼many buildings, right? 很多座楼，很多座楼在一起，在一起是一个小区一个小区。Many buildings together, we call it the compound. A compound or a community that with a management office. Those same shape building 这样一样的楼在一起是一个小区 It's a compound 一个小区。在小区里面常常有一个花园有一个花园，小区的人可以下来走一走、散步、锻炼Always there's a garden in the compound， 在小区里边有一个花园，很多人可以take a walk 走走，锻炼 doing exercise 锻炼和陪孩子玩，对吧？To accompany the kids to play 陪孩子玩。另一边on the other side， 另一边房子如果是你自己的房子，你可能会有一个院子If your own house, you may have your own yard。你自己的房子，你有一个院子。我不知道现在 italki 的朋友们，你们现在是住在一套房子、一套公寓里面，还是你们住在一个房子里面？你们住在一个独立的房子里面 ？Which one are you guys living in right now？我现在在中国，当然我住在一个小区里面，我住在一套公寓里面I'm living in a compound and in an apartment right now. 好你们是哪里人？你们是哪国人？你们现在住的地方有很多楼，很多高楼 tall buildings， 还是你们家旁边有很多的房子，一个一个的房子一个一个的房子？美法利是德国人对吧？你住在一套房子所以是你住在一套公寓里面你也在公寓里面。我觉得德国的大城市应该也是大家住在高楼里边的一套房子，对不对在14楼很高我在马德里住了3年I was living in Madrid for 3 years。马德里有高楼，但是没有特别高的高楼not many very tall buildings in Madrid 很好。好我们继续这个是一个概念，不同的概念 a different concept。在中国我说了，在中国我们常常有一个小区，对吧？一个小区 a compound， 小区里面有很多高楼很多座 高楼 ，many tall buildings， 很多座高楼。一座高楼有20层，有15层、20层、30层啊。One building can have 15 floors, 20 floors, or as high as 30 floors， 30层啊。小区的中间有一个花园啊。In the middle, there's always a garden。小区的中间有一个花园。小区也有一个物业办公室。物业办公室。因为小区很大，我们需要管理啊。Since the compound is very big, we need some management 管理。小区需要管理。怎么管理呢？How to manage？ 所以一个小区常常有一个物业办公室啊。Each compound always have one property management office 啊。物业办公室 the office for manage the properties 啊。物业办公室的人啊，他们做什么？Sean Shun said 好有钱哈，很富有。不是很富有，这个是因为人很多，中国人特别多啊。我们没有很多地方住，对吧？所以我们有很多高楼啊，高楼住在里面啊，很好。我们看一看啊，在物业办公室啊，物业办公室的人啊，他们常常做这些工作啊。They always do those kind of works。比如啊，他们会打扫卫生啊。To do the cleaning, tidy job maintain the cleanness 打扫 clean， 卫生的 hygiene to make it clean and tidy， 打扫卫生。物业办公室的人，我们可以叫他们物业啊。The people work in the property management office. We can also simply refer them as 物业。So 物业 can be the office, also can be the person, the staff. 所以物业的人物业也管理停车位管理停车位。They also manage 管理停车位 the parking location, the parking slots 停车停 to stop, to park 车 the vehicle。位 the 位置the location, the slots。 所以物业办公室他们也会管理停车位 manage the parking slots， 管理停车位。还有现在在世界上有这个病毒Now we have the coronavirus everywhere。So 物业的人他们也会看一看你的QR code They will take a look at your QR code to let you in or to manage the safety problem and to see if you are from this compound or not。物业的人也会看一看你是不是这个小区的人如果你是这个小区的人，你可以进来；如果你不是这个小区的人，你不可以进来你进不来。所以物业的人，他们也会维护安全，维护 to maintain to protect 维护安全 safety 安全。当然物业的人也会做一些小的事情，比如收快递They can also do small things like to help you to receive the delivery that you order online 所以他们会帮助我们收 to get to receive 快递的 fast delivery 收快递非常好。所以物业的人他们很辛苦very hard working 很辛苦，因为在这个小区里边有很多的住户many 住户的 clients residents 啊，很多住户在这个小区，所以他们要帮助住户有非常好的居住的环境啊 ，to have a very good living environment， 有一个非常好的居住的环境啊，所以每一个小区有一个物业办公室，物业办公室的人他们都非常好，棒棒的，很好。好的，美法丽在德国，在德国你们也有一个物业办公室吗？你说你住在一个14层的高楼里，你的小区，你有一个小区有一个物业办公室吗？啊，在中国物业办公室看起来是这样啊，it looks like this 啊，看起来是这样，然后有一些物业在办公室里要帮助住户to help the residents， 帮助住户。好看完了物业办公室，我们来看一看具体地址。具体地址。Now let's take a look at how to tell the specific detailed address in China 具体 specific 地址 address 如果你在中国，你租一套房子你一定会有一个具体地址。你的具体地址应该是这样的应该是这样的If you rent a house, your address should be looks like this in Chinese This is a format for the address 地址 in China 美法丽说有一个房子师傅对对对我在西班牙的时候也有一个师傅，他们在这个1楼，他们会有时候帮我开门，然后会也是打扫卫生，对吧？make cleaning 这个对对对，我觉得在欧洲有很多这个师傅，他们帮忙住户they help the residents。好let's continue with the address 具体地址具体地址，在中文里面，大的概念在小的概念的前面大的概念在小的概念的前面。In China, the bigger concept always before the smaller concept. So, for example, if you have the year, the month, the day, you have to put the year before the month, before the day. If we are talking about an address, 地址 the country before the city, before the district, and before the road, before the compound, before the building, before the unit, before the floor, and before the room number. So there's an order 从大到小 from big to the small 从大到小的顺序。所以第一个我们要说这个区城市的区。First thing first, we have to tell the district of the city 城市的区。在北京有一个区叫做朝阳区，朝阳区it's a very popular district in Beijing 朝阳区，很好。And once you know the 区，你们知道区以后我们要知道在什么路上哪条路和几号，哪条路几号。Now we have to know which road and which number of the road So the road, street in Chinese is 路 and how is a number. So for example, here as example, 大望路 the road of 大望23 number of 大望 road 大望路23号。Now we have to tell the compound. Compound is happen to be literally it's a small district, right? 区 is a big district 城市的区。Here the compound like the one in the photo 在图片里这样的地方是一个小区，所以我们说小区的名字在前面，然后我们说小区比如在这儿是光明小区 the compound of 光明小区。 一个小区有很多楼，很多高楼啊。One compound has many tall buildings, right? Normally we give the name as number one tall building, number two tall building, number three tall building. So then we can say 一号楼、一号楼、二号楼、三号楼、四号楼、五号楼。一号楼可能有很多单元啊。The number one building may have many units for enter, right? 有很多单元你可以进去。所以如果有很多单元，我们说一单元 unit the door one 啊 the unit one， 二单元 door two unit two 啊，三单元。最后我们说the room number 啊。Last but not least, we tell the room number. And the room number is 室。We say the number plus 室。在这儿这个例子里面是2号楼3单元1206室啊，1206室。The number 2 building, unit 3, and the room of 1206. In Chinese, we have to tell the room number by digits. And if it's a room number 1, we don't say 1, 我们不说1啊。Instead, we say 1啊。So for room number 1, we have to change it to 1206室啊，1206室。从这个房间号啊，我们可以知道这个房间在12楼。From the room number, we can tell that it's on the 12th floor 啊，在12楼。So be careful if we say number plus 楼, that means the floor You can either say 12楼 or 12层 for the 12th floor. But when we are talking about the whole building, we need to add 号 before the 楼 we need to add 号 before the 楼 So number 1 building, 1号楼 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 12th floor 1号楼12楼 That means the number 1 building, the 12th floor 1号楼12楼。有一点困惑a little bit confusing， 一点困惑。可是这个是规定，这个就是我们每天说话的方法This is how the way it is 很好。好的，再看一遍one more time， 再看一遍区 district 区，路 street 路，号 the number of the road 号，小区 compound 小区 number plus 号楼 the building in the compound 单元 the unit of the building 单元楼 floor or 层 for the floor 室 for the room 室。好的，我们看一看，现在我们看一看如果你来了中国，你要租房子to rent in Chinese is 租房子 rent a house 在中国租房子，如果你租房子，你是谁？你租房子，你是房客你是房客 You are the tenant, the guest of the house 房客。And the landlord in Chinese is 房东and 租房子租 is the verb to rent 房子的 house If we switch it 房租 is a noun for the rent of the money 房租 So 付房租交房租is to pay, to hand in the rent 付房租交房租很好。 在中国，租房子，不容易找到一个房东啊，嗯，你很难直接找到你的房东啊，It's very difficult to directly have contact with your landlord 啊，很难直接找到你的房东。所以我们做什么？啊，我们会去一个租房中介啊，we will go to a real estate agency 啊，you can either call it 房屋中介啊，either 租房中介 or 房屋中介啊，他们是很专业的人啊，可以帮助我们找到我们要租的房子。所以中介 is middle agency，中介租房啊，the rent house agency 啊，租房中介，or you can say the housing agency，房屋中介，房屋中介。这是在中国我们租房子最普遍的一种方法啊，this is the most common way，最普遍的方法，找一个房子 to look for a house 啊，我们常常会找一个租房中介来租房子。好，我们看一看啊，如果你是一个房客啊，你对房子有什么要求啊？你对房子有什么要求？If you are a tenant, what requirements 要求 you have towards the house that you are looking for 啊？Preposition 对 to the house 有什么要求 has what requirements 啊？您对房子有什么要求？现在在 italki 的朋友们，如果你们租一个房子，你们对房子有什么要求？what what what requirements you have if you have to looking for a house in China 啊？你们可以写一写，告诉我啊。Feel free to tell me by writing in the chats 啊。你们可以用这个句子啊，This is a good sentence that you can use。我要一个带什么什么的房子啊，I want a house with contain something。我要一个带什么什么的房子。很好啊，所以要求 requirements 要求有什么要求 ？Is there any requirements？在中国not 在中国，在所有的房子啊，差不多所有的房子都会有卧室the living room，right？卧室客厅sorry，卧室 the bedroom，sorry，卧室 the bedroom 卧 is to lay down lay down the room for you to lay down it's bedroom，卧室。在你现在的房子，你们有几个卧室几个卧室？很好Living room is the lobby with a lot of guests so the lobby to treat your guest. That's the living room. 客厅。在中国，我们很多房子有两个客厅，一个客厅我们有沙发，有电视，还有一个客厅我们可以有餐桌the dining table 有餐桌，还有椅子，我们在另一个客厅吃饭，所以我们有两个客厅，一个大客厅，一个小客厅有时候两个客厅在一起sometimes they are together， 有时候两个客厅在一起。下一个是the kitchen 是厨房，房 is a house, right？ 厨 is for to do the cooking the formal way to say to cook. The house to cook is 厨房。 很好。有的人喜欢在家里有一个办公室啊，在家里的办公室我们叫做书房，书房有很多书啊，也可以叫家庭办公室。You can also call it the family office， 家庭办公室啊。好，but more common 的家庭办公室 and 卧室 combine together, right？ 所以有的房子有卧室，有的房子有书房，有的房子没有书房，但是我们都有卧室啊，都有卧室。很好现在我们看一下 balcony 啊，balcony 是阳台，阳台，阳是太阳啊，the sun 太阳，台 the platform 啊，the platform to have the sun 啊，一个有太阳的平台是 balcony 阳台，阳台。我很喜欢这个阳台因为这个阳台它有很多窗户has a lot of window 它有这样的落地窗，落地窗，the French window. Literally, it's the window that fall directly into the ground 落 to fall, 地 the floor so the window attach the floor, fall into the floor. That's the French window 我非常喜欢有一个落地窗的房子我觉得很漂亮，可以看见很多的风景可以得到很多的阳光get a lot of sunshine， 得到很多的阳光你们呢？你们喜欢什么样的阳台？你们喜欢有窗户没有窗户的阳台？如果有窗户，你们喜欢平常的窗户，还是一个落地窗还是一个落地窗？很好好的，如果是我对我来说，我要一个带三个卧室的房子，所以我可以邀请我的朋友来我的家我想有一个大的客厅可以和我的朋友一起看电视、看电影、玩游戏我也想要一个带厨房的房子，我可以给我的朋友做好吃的中国菜。我是一个老师我也希望有我自己的书房有我自己的家庭办公室。我希望我的家庭办公室有一个大大的落地窗大大的落地窗，所以我可以得到很多的阳光，我可以看看外面的风景，看看外面的漂亮的风景。很好有没有问题到这儿？没有问题的话我们看一看one room is missing. Which room is missing 哪一个房间我们没有提到？哪一个房间我们没有提到？对那就是卫生间卫生间，卫生间the bathroom we can either say 卫生间 or you can say 厕所，厕所。when we talk about the site， 一套房子 the site of the house 我们说一套房子的时候，我们when we describe the room， 我们常常说卫生间卫生间。你好，玛丽娜你也在，玛丽娜，很好。很多学生问我老师我不知道怎么说shampoo hair conditioner， 我不知道怎么说tub shower and towel。在很多课本里边没有这些词所以我用这个帮助大家同时也学一些生词 since many textbook doesn't have those vocabularies and they are very high frequency, so I take advantage of this page to introduce you guys some really frequent objects you see in the 卫生间卫生间。好的，所以我们看一下生词一些有用的、常用的生词 ，the new words。镜子镜子 mirror 镜子。早上起床，我们看看镜子洗脸、洗脸、刷牙、洗脸、刷牙。镜子前面是洗手池洗手池。池 is a basin 在厨房 in the kitchen， 在厨房有一个洗手池 or 洗菜池 ，a basin of that you can wash your hand or wash dishes。洗手池，洗菜池。the mat on the floor 是地垫 the floor 地垫 or you can call it 垫子 the toilet itself this part of furniture, the toilet in Chinese 马桶桶 is the barrel the big barrel 桶 so 马桶 the toilet. The shower tub is 浴缸非常好。But the shower only the shower part without 浴缸or the standing shower it's 淋浴好这边shampoo is 洗发水conditioner 护发素护保护 protect 头发 the hair 素 is an object has a lot of nutritions in it the best part contain a lot of nutrition we use the 素 like a vitamin is 维生素 and the conditioner hair conditioner 护发素 shower gel is 沐浴露 towel towel 的一般的 towel 小的 towel 是毛巾洗手以后你用毛巾擦手用毛巾擦手。But the shower towel is 浴巾你们喜欢什么样的卫生间我希望我的房子有2个卫生间一个卫生间应该有一个浴缸，很好好的，这些词是比较重要的卫生间的词。下面我们看一看你有没有其他的要求 ？If you have other requirements， 有没有其他的要求很多人租房子的时候，他们要看一看房子的装修Many people prefer to see the renovation of the house， 装修有很多风格There are many styles， 很多风格。装修的风格可以很简单 ，very simple 装修风格很简单，很现代very modern 现代的风格，现代的装修。也有很多人非常喜欢传统的风格，传统的装修traditional renovation， 传统的装修。But sometimes the imagination is good, the reality maybe 在北京租房子的时候啊，常常是这样的装修啊，很简单，但是也一点老旧啊，a little bit old 啊，一点老旧啊。所以租房子的时候要问一问中介啊，ask the agency 啊，有没有装修新一点的房子？Is there like a little bit new renovation？有没有装修好一点的、装修新一点的房子？有的中介他们先带你看一看，装修不好的房子，所以你看装修好的房子的时候，你会很着急，想要订这个房子啊。So many agency their strategy is to take you to see some very bad 装修, very bad renovation, and then they take you to a good renovation house. You may very urgent to book the house 啊，这是他们的一个战略啊，is their strategies。所以啊，要多看房子，看一看房子的装修啊。You should see more house, check the 装修 check the renovation 啊，看一看房子的装修。很多人也会希望啊，他们租的房子家具齐全，家具齐全，家具 the furnitures 啊 the tools in the house that's the furniture 家具齐全 is adjective for full furnished fully furnished 齐全家具齐全的意思是你想要的家具他们都有the furnitures that you want they all have we can say 家具齐全家具齐全我不喜欢买家具我不喜欢搬家 I don't like to move the house 所以如果我租房子我非常喜欢家具齐全的房子什么样的家具呢我希望这个房子一定要有冰箱 fridge 冰箱电视 TV 电视也要有洗衣机washing machine 洗衣机当然这个家应该有一张床a bed 一张床还要有沙发空调在中国空调很重要 the air conditioner very important 空调很重要因为中国的夏天太热了太热了很多房子都有空调租房子的时候要看一看空调如果你去中国的北方你一定要有暖气 you should have the radiator in the house 暖气冬天中国的北方非常冷家里应该有暖气桌椅对我来说不太重要 table chair not so important 桌子和椅子在一起桌椅the wardrobe for the closet 衣柜应该有一个衣柜可以挂很多衣服在里面对吧要有一个衣柜还有很多人的要求很多人的要求是采光应该要很好采光的 daylight 采 means to get 光 is light 阳光 sunshine 阳光采光很好意思是the room has very good daylight 采光很好采光很好的房子他们常常朝阳 face the sun facing the south direction 朝阳 facing the sun 因为房子是朝阳的所以房子里边很亮很亮 very bright since the room is facing the sun so in the room it's very bright 因为房子是朝阳的房子采光很好 房子里面很亮啊，很亮。The adjective bright 很亮啊。好你们租房子，你们的要求是什么？对你们来说，装修很重要，家具齐全重要，还是采光很重要啊？如果你们想说什么啊，可以告诉我，很好。好的最后一个是很重要的事情是租房子的合同啊。Now we are going to check the contract how to sign a house rental contract in China. What can we expect to see in the contract? 我们说了，我们找房子的时候，我们要去一个租房中介，一个房屋中介啊。We've mentioned we have to go to a agency 中介会帮助我们签租房合同。They will help us to sign 签租房合同。House rental contract is 合同租房合同，签租房合同。In China, this unwritten rule when you rent a house in China, this very important rule that you have to know, it is called 押一付三。押一付三。押 is short for 押金。押金 means deposit deposit. 押一 means you have to 付一个月的押金to pay for 1 month's deposit. 付一个月的押金押一付三，付一个月的押金和3个月的房租 and also 3 months rent 和3个月的房租。所以你签租房合同的时候，你要付4个月的房租So when you sign the contract in real life, you have to pay for 4 months rent The first month when you sign the contract, pay 4 months rent 你要付4个月的房租。1个月的房租是押金2个月的房租是你前2个月的房租。2 months rent is the first 2 months rent for your house. 还有1个月的房租是中介费中介费的 agency fee So among the 4 months rent, 4个月的房租里面1个月的房租是中介费the agency fee 中介费。在合同里面你要问一问房租包不包does the rent include or doesn't include the rent 房租包 is to cover to wrap up 包does it include or not include 房租包不包 all the fees right the fee in Chinese is a 费like a 中介费agency fee, but the fee for the water 水费电费 electricity fee 电费天然气费 the gas the fee for the gas 天然气费网费 the internet fee 网费在中国的北方很冷在哈尔滨很冷所以在哈尔滨我们要交供暖费the heating fee 供暖费。我们也说了，小区有一个物业办公室We also mentioned the compound has the property management office. 他们不是免费的They are not free 你要付物业费。You have to pay the property management fee also 你要付物业费。所以物业的人他们来打扫他们工作我们要付物业费。 一般来说啊，normally speaking，一般来说，房东会付物业费啊。Normally, the landlord pay the fee for property management。但是你要好好看一看合同啊，check the contract clearly，看一看合同，看看有没有什么问题，看一看谁付这些费啊，to check who pays those fees，看一看谁付这些费，房租包不包这些费啊？房租包不包这些费？还有的人要看带不带家具啊，Does the furniture include 啊？Comes with furniture or not？带不带家具？Appliance 电器啊，Does it include the appliance 带不带电器？带不带电器？还有很重要的是，东西坏了怎么办？东西坏了怎么办？What are we going to do if the things are broken？啊，东西坏了怎么办？怎么维修？How to repair？啊，怎么维修？怎么维修？维修费，the repairment fee 啊，谁出？Who takes out？Who pay for the repairment fee 啊，维修费谁出？这些在你签合同的时候，你要看一看，要好好的看一看啊。When you sign the contract, all of those pay great attention 啊，好好的看一看啊，很好。好，这些是关于租房合同啊的 contract，租房合同。Make sure when you about to rent a house, you have a 4 months rent 啊。你租房子的时候，你应该有4个月的房租啊，否则很难租房子。Otherwise, it's difficult to rent a house 啊，很好。好的，还有别的要求啊，其他要求。Here are some other requirements you may need to know when you rent a house。租房子的其他要求啊，其他要求。比如你住在一个小区，你要看这个小区里面有没有停车位，停车位。You may need to check if the compound has the parking lot, right? Parking location. 停车位，停车位。You may also want to have your pet 啊，你可能你要养狗、养猫，所以你要问一问物业，问一问你的房东啊，your landlord 房东，问问他可不可以养宠物啊？Can you keep the pet or not？养 means to raise to feed to have your an animal， so 养宠物 to have your pet， 可不可以养宠物？宠物。有的人觉得楼层很重要啊。Many people think the floor is very important. The noun to tell the floor is 楼层，楼层。楼层怎么样 ？How is the floor？ 你喜欢什么样的楼层 ？What kind of floor are you prefer？ 啊，有的人喜欢6到8楼啊。As example, how to tell the floor 啊，6到8楼 ，from 6 to the 8th floor 啊，from 6 to the 8th floor， 6到8楼。你去一个中介，中介的人会问你啊，你想要什么样的楼层？When you go to the agency will ask you what floor do you want？ 你想要什么样的楼层？你想要什么样的楼层？这个时候你可以说我要6到8楼，6到8楼I want from 10 to 20，我要10到20楼，我要10到20楼，非常好。有的人也觉得some people also think the surrounding supporting facilities are important. 小区周边 surrounding the compound 小区周边配套设施 the supporting facilities 配套设施什么意思 What is 配套设施看一个例子，看一些例子比如商场 shopping mall 商场是配套设施，商场学校 school 超市医院 hospital 图书馆 library 公园 the park 超市 supermarket 这些都是配套设施，都是小区周边的配套设施。如果有这些配套设施，我们的生活会很方便，对吧？ Our life will be very convenient， 很方便。说到交通speaking of transportation, public transportation， 交通说到交通the best adjective is 便利 instead of 方便。When we describe 交通 it's better to use the adjective of 便利。所以你可以问is public transportation convenient or not？ 交通是不是很便利？交通是不是便利？To be more specific, you can say 有没有地铁站附近 nearby 附近有没有地铁站 subway station？ 有没有车站 the bus station？ 附近容不容易打车 to call a taxi, get a taxi 容不容易 easy or not easy 附近容不容易打车 Is it easy to get a taxi or not 附近容不容易打车还有我们也要看一看小区的环境We also need to take a look at the environment of the compound 小区的环境怎么样毕竟你要和很多人住在这个小区After all 毕竟 you have to live with many people in the same 小区 compound 所以你可以看一看小区的绿化 the greening work project of the compound 绿化比如这个小区有没有很多的草地 if it has a lot of grassland 草地这个小区有没有儿童乐园 the children play yard 儿童乐园这个小区很安静还是很吵 Is it very quiet or noisy 是一个很安静的小区还是一个很吵的小区还有我们要看一看这个小区的安全问题安全 can be a noun the safety problem 安全问题看一看这个小区是不是安全非常好到这儿我不知道大家有没有问题有没有什么不明白的地方To hear, does anyone has any question 如果你们有问题可以问我没有我们看一看好或者你们也可以告诉我你们理想中的房子your dream house, your ideal house 是什么样的理想中的房子是什么样的很好So just a quick look these are the things we learned today so today we checked the house how to tell the compound the address and we also see how to tell the rooms and also how to sign the contract now I found out my iPad there's problem, so maybe I missed some of your chats earlier 不好意思谢谢大家，今天我们学的就是这些别忘了我们 明天的不是明天啊，星期五的早上9点啊，我们学习Uber Talk Taxi Talk。Don't forget to join the WeChat group for me to send you the latest notice about the italki live streaming class。谢谢大家今天参加我的课。现在我看到看到美法丽说话，看到美法丽说风水下一次我们继续Marina, air purifier you have to buy by yourself. Normally they don't have it. But it's easy to buy some air purifier in China without problem. 没有问题好的，谢谢大家，我们星期五见再次感谢大家，欢迎大家星期五再来我的课，我们下次见，再见。
mundo. Con Lingvi encontrarás personas nativas dispuestas a ayudarte a practicar el idioma que desees aprender. Los usuarios con tiempo libre se mostrarán disponibles para recibir llamadas y de esta forma ganarán recompensas ayudando a otros usuarios. Así es como conectamos personas de forma colaborativa y gratuita en nuestra aplicación. Únete a nuestra comunidad, haz nuevos amigos y mejora en todos los idiomas que quieras. Descarga Lingvi y practiquemos juntos.
Este es Peter. Está aprendiendo chino. Ha intentado estudiar por su cuenta con libros, tarjetas de vocabulario y aplicaciones móviles, pero sigue teniendo problemas para hablar. Esta es María. Le encanta aprender inglés, pero no tiene oportunidades para ponerlo en práctica. Con italki, Peter y María pueden recibir clases personales online para hablar con fluidez en otro idioma. Tú también puedes aprender un idioma en italki. Empieza hoy en 3 simples pasos. Primero, elige un idioma. Inglés, alemán, chino, francés, japonés. Italki tiene profesores para cualquier idioma. Segundo, escoge un profesor. Con Italki puedes escoger entre miles de profesores con experiencia de todo el mundo. Tercero, elige el horario de tu lección. Las clases de idiomas online son el mejor método para aprender con profesores nativos. Con Italki tendrás un profesor de idiomas personal y conversaciones reales con hablantes nativos. Cada día miles de personas aprenden con profesores internacionales a través de italki. Encuentra un profesor hoy y domina el idioma de tu lección.
Hi everyone, it's Vicente and I teach Spanish on italki.com. And today we will be talking about 3 grammar rules to follow when you start learning Spanish. The first one is that, as you have already heard, Spanish verbs are always conjugated. That means that they have to match with the subject of the sentence. For example, there are different pronouns in Spanish. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, nosotras, vosotros, vosotras, and ellos, ellas, y ustedes. All these pronouns have their own conjugations, and it's very common for beginners to mix them up. So remember this. When you start to conjugate the verbs, they have to match. The second rule is very important as well. The Spanish nouns and adjectives has to be in the same level. Let me explain you this. If you have a noun that is feminine and plural, for example, las mujeres, the adjective that you have to use right after the noun has to be feminine and plural as well. For example, las mujeres españolas. It is the same with the articles las, female and plural. We use this article because, as I say, it's female and plural. The third rule I already mentioned before, and be careful, English speakers, because the adjectives in Spanish go after the noun, not before like in English. This is very common for students that learn Spanish and already speak or know English. When I say it, las mujeres españolas, españolas is the adjective, and I put it after las mujeres. In English, it would be the Spanish woman, but not in Spanish. Okay, there are some occasions where the adjectives go before the nouns. That is true, but normally this use comes out at intermediate level or advanced level, so do not worry when you are a beginner. Thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the italki YouTube channel over here. Take a lesson with me on italki.com by clicking on my teacher profile link in the description. Hasta luego! Hi everyone, it's Vicente and I teach Spanish on italki.com, and today I will be talking about 7 Spanish words that are similar to their English counterpart. These words are also known as cognates. What a cognate is? A cognate is a word that has the same linguistic derivation that another word, and it looks similar, and when you pronounce it, it sounds almost the same. And here I will give you 7 cognates so you can use them in Spanish as well. The first one is alcohol in Spanish. Guess you know what it means, because it sounds pretty similar than in English, doesn't it? Number 2 is conclusión. This one has a different pronunciation in Spanish, but you will understand definitely when you start learning Spanish. Number 3, hobby. This one is completely similar. We basically took this word from English. Number 4, individual. Of course, it's the same word, just different pronunciation. The next one, number 5, is piercing. Yes, we use this word with the same pronunciation and meaning. Next one, number 6, is informal. I like to use this one in my lessons to explain ways to greet and say goodbye, because it's similar in English and is a word that the students understand very quickly. And the last are some words related to sports. If you're learning Spanish and you like sports, you're lucky, because most of the words are cognates like football, tennis, baseball, volleyball, hockey, water polo, golf, surf, and so on. As you can see, almost all sports are cognates. So, talking about your hobbies should not be difficult. As you can see, there are many, and I would like to remember you that there are hundreds of cognates, and if you check them, you can be ready to your first Spanish lesson. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the italki YouTube channel for more tips on learning Spanish. Take a lesson with me on italki.com by clicking on my teacher profile link in the description. Hasta luego!
Hi everyone, it's Caroline here, and I teach English on italki. Today I am going to be talking about business idioms, or idioms you might hear in your office or in your workplace. A student asked me a really good question the other day. He asked me whether, because I'm a native English speaker, do I know every single idiom? And the answer is no. Idioms are phrases or expressions that come from a particular place or a particular age group. So idioms are different in the UK to idioms in the United States. I have chosen 5 business idioms to talk to you about today, and you may hear them in an office in the UK or in the States. So hopefully they will be super useful for you. Idiom number 1 is the big picture. Imagine you go into a meeting and your boss says to you, you've lost sight of the big picture. What does that mean? That means that you are thinking too much about the small details of the project, and you are so interested in those little details that you don't remember what it is you're trying to achieve. So always keep sight of the big picture. The second idiom is to go the extra mile. Now imagine you're in an interview and the interviewer says to you that they are looking for someone who always goes the extra mile. What does that mean? Does it mean they want you to run around the office every day? No, it means they want you to do more than just what is in the job description. They want you to go that little bit further and to take on extra responsibilities. That is going the extra mile. The third idiom is a win-win situation. A win-win situation means everybody gains something. A really good example of this is these videos that I'm making for italki. italki gains some content for their website, some lessons for their learners, and I have a platform where students can see me and book lessons with me. It's a win-win. italki wins and Caroline wins. The fourth idiom is word of mouth. So an example of this is, think about how you found out about italki. Did you find italki by searching on Google, or did you find italki because one of your friends recommended it to you? Recommendations from friends are word of mouth. It can be positive or it can be negative. If your company gets bad word of mouth, it is going to be a very difficult time for your company because people really listen to the opinions of their friends. So make sure whatever you do, you have good word of mouth about it. The fifth and final business idiom is to touch base. My manager used to say this to me a lot. To touch base means to have a very quick and short meeting about a project or something that you are working on. It might only be 5 minutes of your time, but in that time, you will check that your understanding of the project is the same as your manager's understanding of the project. So I have a challenge for you. In your next lesson, I want you to ask your teacher if you can touch base about what you have learned in your lessons so far. This could be 5 minutes at the end of the lesson where you review all of the different subjects that you have been studying. You're touching base about the things you have covered so far. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to italki by clicking somewhere. And you can take a lesson with me by clicking on my teacher profile in the description box. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Welcome back to the Stop Being Boring When Speaking English video series. When speaking to native English speakers, it's useful to use a variety of vocabulary to make your conversation sound more interesting and flow. Why not spice up your language a little bit and impress others with your speaking abilities? In this next video, we will take a look at some American and British slang.
Number 1, American. John Hancock.
John Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a person,
It's a name of a person, yes.
and it's American slang.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it means?
I just got John Hancock. Does it mean like wasted?
Certainly not.
Give me an example.
Okay, so can I please have your John Hancock at the bottom of this paper? Come on, you gotta get it now.
Is it your signature?
Yes, you got it! That was easy.
Okay, awesome. Number 1, British. Peak. What does peak mean?
Like, taking a peek.
No, that's
Sorry, that's not taking a peek.
That's not slang.
This is taking a peek.
But that's just like taking a peek. That's not slang.
Oh,
Like in a slang
like a
context.
peak. Like the peak of a mountain? That's not slang. That's actually
Yeah, that is the peak of a mountain.
I don't know. Tell me.
Okay, let me give you an example. So say you go out one night and you lose your purse, your keys.
Is it like the most horrible situation you can be in?
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, that's so peak. You'd be like, oh, yeah. How was your night? It was so peak.
I just got fired. That's so peak.
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
So it's like the peak of badness, I guess.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the peak.
2, American. Jacked.
Jacked. Does that mean like hench?
What does hench mean?
Like say you go to the gym.
Don't answer back with a slang word.
So the British equivalent of jacked would be hench, I think. So if someone's like really ripped.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So hench.
Go to the gym, work out a
Yeah,
lot.
like, whoa, look at him, he's so jacked.
We would say hench. Number 2, British. Peng. Peng.
Hang.
Peng. P-E-N-G. Peng.
Like someone being hanged on the head with something, or Just thinking of bang and peng. It's similar, I don't know.
I guess it's a little similar. No.
Give me an example.
Okay, so for example, say you're eating a cake, it's delicious. You can say, oh, this is peng.
Does it just mean delicious?
You could use it in other contexts as
Does it
well.
mean like it hits the spot? You know?
Yeah, but I could also say that your eyes are peng, or a person is peng.
Just mean like extraordinarily awesome?
Basically, if you're talking about a person, you might even say painting.
Painting.
Like he's a painting.
Okay.
This is mostly
I
London.
feel like he's like a 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So like the top of top.
Yeah, basically.
Number 3, American. I blew it.
I blew it.
I blew it.
皆さん、こんにちは。あつこです。Hello, everyone. I'm Atsuko. Welcome to my class. I live in Bangkok, Thailand. Now it's 3:15 here, and it's very hot. Where do you live? Where are you watching this live streaming? Right on the chat, please. Where are you now? And I also want to know, have you ever studied hiragana before? Please write on the chat. ジョージさん、オーストラリア。はじめまして、こんにちは。ジョージさんは、have you ever studied hiragana before? ひらがなを勉強したことがありますか？初めてですか？ピエトロさん、こんにちは。はじめまして。ジョージさん、many years ago. そうですか。ジョージさんは、do you use Japanese now? ピエトロさん、イタリア人です。そうですか。ピアチェーレ。ピエトロさんは、did you self-study ひらがな? Or did you study at school? はい、今日は綺麗なひらがなのレッスンです。綺麗なひらがなですよ。Even if you have never written ひらがな in your life, don't worry. Today, you can learn how to write beautiful ひらがな. So please prepare pen and notebook or a sheet of paper. Okay. Before starting, let's think about why we need to write beautifully. Okay. The first reason is that handwriting is a genre of art in Japan. In Japan, we learn calligraphy at school. We also have exhibitions to display our handwriting and our calligraphy. Being able to write beautifully is a prestigious skill in Japan. The second reason is that Japanese people tend to judge a person from his or her handwriting. If our handwriting is sloppy, Japanese people may think the writer also does other things carelessly, like work. On the other hand, if our handwriting is good, Japanese people tend to regard the writer as a knowledgeable person. Because of these two reasons, beautiful handwriting skills are extremely important in Japanese. Then next, let's think about why self-studying is not perfect. The first reason is that learners cannot tell if their handwriting is good or not. What learners think is good hiragana can sometimes not be good at all for natives. The second reason is that font and handwriting are often very different. Okay, I'll show you the example. This one is a font of hiragana, ri, and the next one is correct handwriting of ri. Those two letters are very different, aren't they? Self-study learners tend to imitate hiragana from books. The more seriously they learn, the more precisely they try to write in the same way with the book, making their handwriting become very different from native handwriting. Imitating from a book is just an exercise of hands, and it's never sufficient. Some people think that letters can self-taught, but as for Japanese, letters, I strongly recommend learning them with native Japanese teacher. Okay, now I think your mindset is okay, so let's get started. This is hiragana table. There are 46 hiragana. Look at the rightmost line. The hiragana of this line doesn't have consonants. And from top to bottom, pronunciation is a, I, U, E, O. Only vowels. Okay, let's start writing from this column. Okay, the first letter is A. It's the very first letter, but actually it's one of the most difficult hiragana. Okay. This is first stroke. It's not so long. And the second stroke is, look, this is not straight. But the starting point and finishing point are on the same line. This is a center line. Okay. And third stroke is very long. Start from here. This one is cross. And the last part is not like this. Not stop like this, but non-stop. Okay. And I give you advice to keep a good balance of this hiragana. Try to put these 3 points on the same line. Then looks beautiful. Okay, please try. Can you see the difference between stop and non-stop? Georgie-san, wow, what happened? Okay. Then next, I, U, E, O のいとうです。ジョージさんありがとうございます。I and U are not difficult, so I write at the same time. Okay? I explain at the same time. I and U. First stroke is a little bit curved and go to the right. Okay, and this part is jump. Okay, and second stroke is short, like this, and a little bit lower, but just a little. Okay. Many of my students write like this. Can you see the difference? It's too high and it's too short. It's ugly for native Japanese. Okay, down, a little bit down. And E is long, wide hiragana. Wide. Okay. Then next, U. First stroke is very short and go down to the right. Okay, very short. And lower part is long. U is very slim hiragana. E is wide, U is slim. Okay. And I'll show you bad example too. looks similar. That's why it's wrong. The finishing point should be in the center. It's too long. Too long. Okay. Like this. Okay. Next, A and O. The first stroke of A is similar to U or down to the right. And second stroke is very long. Go down to the left. This point is left side of this point. Okay? And go up together. Trace this line and separate. And this square is 90 degrees, but this curve is very soft. Okay? And this line is straight, not go up. This point and this line are on the same line. Okay? Next, O. The first stroke is very short and right on the left side. Okay? This is second stroke. Go straight down, go up, and curve. Right side is wider than left side. Okay? And here it's non-stop. Non-stop. And this point and this point are on the same line. Okay? And third stroke is the position of third stroke is very, very important because it determines if O is beautiful or not. The third stroke from here. Okay? From here. And finish here. Okay? I'll show you that example too. This is a bit exaggerating, but many people write like this. First stroke is too long. That's why last stroke is very far because there is not so much space. This is very ugly. Okay? Remember this position. Okay? Then next, second line, it has consonant K. So it's from ka, ki, ku, ke, o. Yeah. Let's write kakikukeko line. Sorry. I still haven't shared screen. Okay, next, second line, K line, kakikukeko. Yes. And you can already see the font and handwriting are different. Like, for example, the last part of this line goes up in this font, but actually this is not correct, right? Okay, let's write kakikukeko. first stroke is this line. This is soft curve. If you write this curve very sharp, it looks like katakana, not hiragana. Long time ago, hiragana is letters for woman, so hiragana has a lot of curves. Okay? And here, this is jump, jump. And second stroke is parallel. These two lines are parallel. Okay? And if third stroke is too high or too short, it looks ugly. Like this. This is very ugly. Okay? The starting point of third stroke is a little bit higher. A little bit higher than this corner. Okay? And not too short. Next, C. First stroke and second stroke are parallel and a little bit go up. あ、しゅんさん、こんにちは。again、ありがとうございます。This is third stroke. Go down to the right and jump. Jump. And starting point of fourth stroke is very important. Okay, look at this red line. Start from here. Okay, and go down. Finishing point is here. Then it looks beautiful. Okay. はい。じゃあ次は、く。く is very easy. Not so many things to say. It's symmetry. Upper half and bottom half symmetry. And ku is very slim. Easy. Next, ke. This is part of very short. This is the first stroke. It's not straight, a little bit curved. But starting point and finishing point are on the same line. Okay. It's different from first stroke of E. First stroke of E goes to right. But first stroke of K is straight. Okay. Starting point and finishing point are on the same line. Like this. Okay. And second line is horizontal line and third line is go straight down, 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 and non-stop. And a little bit curve to the left. Non-stop. Okay. Joji-san, hiragana is beautiful. Ah, so desu ka. But you can also write beautiful hiragana. Yeah, you can do this too. And I have another advice. Third stroke is lower than first stroke. It makes K more beautiful. Okay. Next, かきくけこ. First stroke, a little bit curve and jump. Jump. Second stroke, just a little bit down and stop. Okay. And the lengths are almost same. Almost same. Not wide. Okay. Georgie-san, when I spent time in Japan, I learned this. Ah, Georgie-san, you studied in Japan. そうですか。はい。じゃあ、let's go back to the ひらがな table. We've studied two lines, right? あいうえお and かきくけこ. Georgie-san, I lived in Yokohama. Oh, before I came to Thailand, I was in Yokohama for 11 years. 上大岡です。はい。あれ Can you see the screen? No. Anyway, okay. Then let's start S line. S line. S line は、I want to share screen. すみません。ちょっと待ってくださいね。S ラインは、さ、し、す、せ、そですね。Okay, anyway, let's start. じゃあ、さとしを書きます。さは it's similar to きですね。He has two lines here, but sa is only one. A little bit go up. Yes. で、second stroke は to the right and jump. Jump. The starting point of third stroke is here. And go down to this point. Okay? さ、ね。Right, the next one, she is very easy. Go straight down and curve. And go up. Non-stop ですよ、non-stop. シュッ Non-stop です。It's not so difficult. And maybe next one, す is a bit difficult for Japanese learners, I think. First stroke is quite long, but many people write this line very short. It's long, very long. Okay? And second stroke is a bit tricky. It has roots here. And I'll show you that example too. Can you see the difference? This is not good. Go up and go down together with this line. Not found. Okay? And this part is a little bit to the left and non-stop, non-stop. Next, se is again a bit difficult. It doesn't look difficult, but many of my students write very ugly se. First stroke is quite long again, like se. This is long. And second stroke is of straight down and jump. Third stroke. Go straight down, curve, and flat. Okay. And this finishing point is very important. This point is right side of this line, but left side of this point. Can you see? ロシア語 I can't read your name. Hi. こんにちは. Okay, another advice. Okay, X and Y and Z. This part are almost equal. And then it looks beautiful. It's like mathematics. Okay, the last hiragana of S line. So is slim hiragana. This is only one stroke. This line is the longest. Like this. Okay. And when you write this curve, past the center line. Then go down. Okay. はい。じゃあ次は、what language are you teaching? This is Japanese letter. It's called hiragana ですよ。Can you see my screen? Okay. Oh, sorry, today it takes long time to share screen. So, okay, let's start T line. Georgie-san, when I learned how to write hiragana, it took me 3 days to learn. 3 days, or very rapid. はい。じゃあ、next、立ちつてとラインです。はい。た。It's not so easy to write beautiful ta. First line is this one, short. And second line is left. Okay? And write ko, hiragana, ko here. and this line is flat. Okay? And very important point is that third stroke should be lower than first stroke. Many people write like this. I really hate this. It's very ugly. You can see the difference. It's lower. Next, hiragana is chi, kachitsuke no chi. First stroke is this line. Second stroke is go down to the left, and carve non-stop, non-stop, and finish here. Okay. I'll show you that example. This is very, very, very ugly. Okay, stop here, right side. Okay. Our next one is very easy. So it's wide hiragana. Just like this. And this part is non-stop. Okay? And this point is on the right side of this point. Kachitsuke. There is only one stroke. Many people write this part very short, but actually it's long. And next curve go through this point. Okay? It's center line. So pass the center line and go down. And finishing point should be on the left side of this point. Okay. 次は立ちつてとです。First stroke to the right. Second stroke. Go down, curve, and flat, not up. Okay. And here, not cross. Okay. The next line is end line. Na, ni, nu, ne, no. Na, ni, nu, ne, no. I'll try to share this screen again. No, maybe not coming. Okay. はい。じゃあ、何ぬねのなは少し難しいですね。な is a bit difficult. This is first stroke. It's short. And second stroke to the left there. But it's not so as long as ta. And third stroke starts from here. Or down. Okay. And last stroke starts from here. go straight down, go up, curve, root, and go down, down. Dianderu-san, Atsuko sensei, is there a big difference in speed when writing Latin alphabet versus Japanese? Speed ですか? I've never think about speed. I don't think there is speed difference when we write with pen or pencil, but when we write calligraphy with brush, so we should write slowly, especially when we start writing. Not start writing immediately, but put the brush on the paper and wait for a while and start. But when we write with a pen, so the speed is not so different between alphabet and hiragana, katakana, kanji. Interesting question. リデルさん、ありがとうございます。リアンデルさん、ありがとうございます。はい。じゃあ次は、何ぬねのに。ね。First stroke is same with け。A little bit curve. And jump. And write こ here. こ。にです。Not so different. Not so difficult. Okay. And next one is a bit difficult. ぬです。何ぬねのぬ。First stroke is not straight. A little bit curved to the right. Okay. Next stroke will start from here. Here. Okay. Go down, go up, curve, root down. Go down to the left, go up, curve, and root down, down. And this root is wide, over, wide. Okay, let's stop. じゃあね、いきますよね。はい。これはファーストストロークです。セカンドストロークは、a little bit go up, cross, down. はい。Only a little cross. Only a little. ですよ。Go down, up, curve, root again. So it's very similar. Wide root and go down. Okay. Wide root ですよ。ぬとねはちょっと難しいですね。These two grammars are difficult. But next one is not difficult. 何ぬねのワンストロークですね。はい。go down to the left. でここはタッチです。Last part is non-stop. Okay. And I'll show you third example. Here in Thailand, Thai alphabet has a lot of roots, and Thai people tend to write like this. This is the difference. This is bad example. Go down to the left. Okay, this is bad example. So, はい。じゃあ、何ぬねの finish ですね。はい。じゃあ次は H ラインです。は、ひ、ふ、へ、ほ。よ。The first stroke of ha is same with ke or ni. Ke or ni. Same. Georgie-san, really amazing. Has your hiragana improved today? Second stroke is vertical line. And last stroke, go straight down. Again, wide root, and go down, wide root. And I'll show you bad example. はい。これは bad example です。Rope is not wide. And this line is straight or straight down. Not like this. Okay? これは bad ですよ。はい。はい。じゃあ次は、ひです。はひふへほのひ。He has only one stroke. ね。はい。go up, curve, go up, down. ね。アップしてください。で、axle of this verb, this hiragana is put. And imagine there is egg. There's egg here. Okay. And the width of this point is wider than this point. Okay? Wider. You can see. So image of it is like this and this. Okay? はい。綺麗です。はい。じゃあ次は、ふはちょっと難しいですね。I think each font has different style of fu. So you should know which one is the standard. First stroke は short, go down to the right. Second stroke, go down, curve, up, non-stop. Go down, curve, shoot, shoot. Third stroke, to the right and jump. Okay? And last stroke, to the right, like this. Okay? So actually, this is not a rule, but if these 3 points are on the same line, I think it looks beautiful. Okay, next one. K is very easy. Go up and down. Short, long, easy. And ha, hi, hu, he, ho. First stroke is same with K or ni or ha. Okay? Second and third strokes are parallel. Okay? And last stroke. Don't cross here. Okay? And go straight down, wide loop again, like ha, and go straight down. Like this. Okay? Again, I'll show you a bad example. You can see it's different, right? This is start example. Look should be wide and go straight down. Okay. Next line is M line. M line. Ma, mi, mu, me, mo. Okay. First stroke and second stroke are parallel. I think you've already get used to this. Go straight down, wide loop, and go down. Okay. Next, mi. First stroke start from here and go to the left, left, left. Okay, and go straight down. And if this finishing point is lower, it looks beautiful. And this point is non-stop. This line is non-stop. Okay. Julie-san, how do you write no perfect like I don't think there is this perfect hiragana. はい、じゃあ次は、まみむめものむですね。First stroke is very short and right on the left side. Left side. Okay. And second stroke, go straight down, root, curve, up. はい。はい。これループありますね。で、ここはちょっとフラットです。like this. フラット。で、this is part example. This is part example. Straight. はい。アンさん、はい、先生、こんにちは。はい。じゃあ、ラストストロークのスターティングポイントは、このラインです。このライン。like this. はい。もうちょっと難しいですね。ポジション、ここですよ。はい。じゃあ次は、まみむ、め。め is similar to ぬ。ね、first stroke is a little bit curved. Okay? Go down to the right. And second stroke は、ここからスタートです。Go down to the right, left, go up, curve, and right side is wider than left side, and non-stop, non-stop. Okay. はい。じゃあ、ラストの波ムも、let me check first. Life emotions, I don't understand. そうですね。Before you learn hiragana, you need to know the pronunciation of Japanese alphabet ですね。はい。Shana, can you still write them now? you write them now? Shun-san, what does it mean? Is it question for Georgie-san? This was many years ago. So Georgie-san, you don't use Japanese anymore in your life. はい、じゃあ、マミムメもは、half stroke at this, and it's different from she. she は、さしすせその she は、straight down. もは、a little bit curved to the left. she は straight. もは to the left. But just a little bit. はい。で、second, third stroke, パラレルですね。で、ここはノンストップです。マミムメも。ライフエモーションさん、どういたしまして。ジョージさん、no, but always wanted to learn Japanese because many Japanese living here on the Gold Coast. ジョージさん、ゴールドコーストにいます。And I have a few Japanese friends. So Japanese people love Australia. Although I've never been there, everybody around me, my Japanese friends who have been to Australia said, oh, I like Australia. So it's a very famous country, and I'm Japanese. はい、じゃあ、マミムメモフィニッシュですね。はい、next line is Y line. Y. Y line has only 3 hiragana. や、ゆ、よです。Let's start from や。First stroke, go up. Curve, non-stop. Second stroke, it's very short here. Okay, very short. Third stroke, go straight down to the right. Right, yeah? Yeah. Next one, you. Oh, it looks difficult. First stroke is this. Go straight down, go up, and these points are on the same line. And this part is non-stop. Non-stop this. And second stroke, cross both this line and this line. Not straight, it's curved and non-stop. Okay. Next, ya, you, yo, yo. This is first stroke, just go straight to the right. And second stroke passes this point. Second stroke is on the center. Okay, go straight down and wide loop and go down, go straight down. Okay. Wide loop again. Georgie-san, I have impossible question. Which is more delicious Japanese food or Thai food? For me, of course, Japanese food. Some Thai food is good, but some Thai food is too spicy or too strong, or I'm not familiar. So in general, Japanese food is good. And Thai food is a bit dangerous because it contains a lot of fat, oil, sugar, and MSG. はい、やゆよいいですか？やゆよ。 はい、じゃあ、next。ラリルレロですね。outline。ラリルレロ。ラ。first stroke. Go down. It's very short. Go down to the right. Second stroke. Go down to the left. Left. Okay. And very important thing is that the finishing point should be here. Okay. Like that. Next one. The first stroke is jump. Jump. No? If this part is not jump, it's katakana. Katakana. Without jump, it's katakana. Jump. No? ここはノンストップですね。ノンストップ。はい。ル has only one stroke. はい。Look, this point is left side of this point. Okay. And this group, again, wide loop. Wide loop. This line is center. Okay. The loop is on the center. Hi. Next one, le. First stroke is a little bit cup, but just only a little bit. Okay. And second stroke. This part is close, but only a little bit. Okay. And go down, go up, and this part is very sharp. And go down, curve, and non-stop. Non-stop. Okay. Last one, la-di-do-de. Lo. Lo is very similar to lu. Look. This point is on the left side of this point. Okay. And finishing point is right side. Which point? I'll show you that example too. It's a bit exaggerating, but many people write like this. This is very ugly. Okay. Remember this line. Okay. はい。ラリルレロです。Okay, only three remain. わ、お、んです。わ is similar to ね and れ。First stroke. Second stroke, go a little bit up, a little bit cross, go down, up, curve. Okay. Go up, curve, not sharp, curve, and go down. Okay. And this part is non-stop, non-stop. Yeah. Right. And next one, O for particle. O for particle is, I think this is one of the most difficult ones. First stroke is short. Second stroke. Go down to the left and try to write this line and this point on the same line. Okay. And this line is straight, go down straight. And start from here, go down, curve, and flat. Flat. And this curve has this line, right side. Okay. Hi, last one. ねはこう、go down to the left, go up together, and cross on this line, and go up, non-stop. です。はい、that's all for today です。皆さん、お疲れ様でした。はい。Tomorrow I'm going to teach travel phrases in Japanese. So if you're interested in traveling to Japan, don't miss my class tomorrow. Right. And if you want to study Japanese more with me, click my name on the schedule table and you can feel free to send me a message. では皆さん、さようなら。ありがとうございました。
Yeah, so that means that you've completely ruined the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say like, I didn't make it into school. So my parents will not be proud of me. I blew it.
Yeah, well, you rocked up late to work. Nobody ever knew that.
Yeah, I'm never late.
Number 3, British. Having a mare. Having a mare.
Having a mare, a nightmare, like horrible, real nightmare in reality, basically.
Very good. That's exactly
That
it.
was a lot easier than the previously.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd really spin you. Having a mare? You were having a mare before.
I was having a mare
Yeah.
before, not understanding anything she was saying.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. There's our British and American slang. Tell us what you thought of it. Did you understand it? And we'll see you next time.
My name is Vũ Nguyễn. Tên tôi là Vũ Nguyễn. It's really amazing thing for me. From italki, I can meet people around the world, and they can give me more energy to live and more inspiration to live in the world also. Very magical, yeah. When I can go on lesson and I feel that I'm doing a very good job, and then working at home is a very wonderful thing. I think that I can do something, and I'm doing something here. I think that I can say idea and talk with people. That is the first motivation for me to come here. The second thing that I can have some money for my life to make my life become better and more comfortable. It's very wonderful website of italki because italki is the connection between every people in the world with each other. There are many purposes for us to learn a new language. Innovation is the most important. Not only study language, but also sharing idea and culture and everything else in the life. And through the learning and teaching, and we can share more idea and we can share our life better. You know that because each person have their own experience and their own knowledge and their own way of living. And when we meet new people, and we think that we are discovering a new universe or a new area or something like that.
So it's wonderful that we have this diversity and we should just learn from each other. But if you at least just learn a second language and expose yourself to a second culture, not only do you understand that culture better, but you understand your own culture better. And if most people just did that and were talking openly and honestly about themselves and other people, I don't think there would be any diversity problems. Because we're all learning from each other.
He is a very good student. He studied very well, and he just learned for, he just only studied for 1 month, but now he can speak very much Vietnamese. Later on, the student and the teacher can meet in a different country, and then the relationship become very good. We drink coffee together, and we go and I ride a motorbike, and I take them along somewhere beautiful together, and we talk together, and then they come back to their country, and we become teacher and student again. We study again. Yeah.
The number of refugees worldwide has reached historic levels as tens of millions of people seek asylum from conflicts in their home countries. Even for those able to reach countries willing to take them in, rebuilding their lives and careers in unfamiliar societies often proves challenging. For one group of refugees living in Istanbul, teaching online Arabic lessons to students across the world has offered a way to overcome these obstacles and establish new hope. As well as earning income, they have been able to share their experiences with people from different cultures and backgrounds, cultivating meaningful relationships with students.
My name is Rahaf and I'm from Latakia, Syria. Previously, I had a normal but busy life.
My name is Abdullah and I'm a Syrian guy from Homs, the capital of funny jokes.
Hello, my name is Amr. I'm an Arabic teacher on italki. I'm from Egypt.
Hi, I'm Hussam. I'm from Syria, Al-Hasaka, and I'm a teacher on italki now.
3 years ago, I came to Turkey, to Istanbul. Many challenges came in one time. Leaving a country is not, or leaving your home. This is one, it's like fish out of the group.
I mean, the challenge that my career is almost dead. This is the only challenge now. Online teaching, it solves this problem, of course, because you can just be wherever and get online and start your class.
What italki offered me is like new students I have never met from another continent, way far from me. Once they want to like learn my language, I feel like this is like, I feel sometimes emotional.
italki, Besta College and NGO Small Projects Istanbul are working together on this project.
It's important for people to kind of see and get to know someone who's experiencing a difficult time or who has had a difficult past, and to just remember people are people are people. We need to remember that we have a shared humanity, and I think that gets lost a lot in the media or in the news.
I'm teaching Arabic for first-year students of Arabic in America. We both enjoy teaching and learning online. It's an amazing experience for me as a teacher. I find it so helpful for me, also for the students.
Going into it, people might like have these assumptions that you're supposed to like learn something about refugees or like understand something new, but I think it's like most valuable to realize that like you're not really learning anything new other than that like this is like just another person just like you.
My tutor Mohammed was like so nice and so willing to work with my level of speaking and comprehension.
At the beginning, teaching online was a new experience for me, and it had a lot of challenges, but now I'm used to it. And honestly, I'm enjoying teaching Arabic on italki.
I care now. I care more. I care more about the language. I care more about my students. Teaching Arabic is something valuable for me. Maybe give me hope, or I feel gain hope. It's reward for me.
Hi, I'm a language learning app.
Can we move on?
This is a dog.
I don't have a dog.
Repeat after me. This person eats bread.
I want to practice English for my job interview.
Incorrect. You haven't reached this lesson yet. Now repeat after me. This person eats bread.
Fine. This person eats bread.
That's better. Moving on.
¿Cansado de aplicaciones de idiomas inflexibles? Usa italki para aprender como tú quieras aprender y estudiar cualquier idioma con nativos.
Meet Peter. He is learning Chinese. He was studying on his own with textbooks, flashcards, and apps, but is still having problems with basic conversation. This is Maria. She loves learning English, but she doesn't have many opportunities to use it. With italki, Peter and Maria are able to get personal online lessons to help them become fluent in a foreign language. You can start learning a language on italki today. Just follow these 3 simple steps. 1. Select the language. English, Spanish, Chinese, French, Japanese. italki has teachers for every language. 2. Select the teacher. With italki, you can choose from thousands of experienced teachers from all over the world. And 3. Schedule a lesson. Online language lessons are the next best thing to living in a foreign country. With italki, you'll have a personal language teacher and real conversations with native speakers. Every day, thousands of people are connecting to international teachers through italki. Find a teacher today and become fluent in a foreign language.
Hi, my name's Tom. I'm from the US, I'm a chemical engineer, and I'm passionate about language learning. I've used italki to learn 8 languages to a conversational level. I grew up in Colorado, where I was exposed to many different cultures, which cultivated my interest in languages. One of the first languages I became conversational in was Norwegian. I decided to book a trip to Norway. To prepare, I found a group class with around 7 people. Not only were they extremely expensive, it was around $40 to $50 per lesson, but progress was also frustratingly slow due to the size of the class. I heard about italki from a positive review from a famous polyglot. I was amazed to discover that I could learn any language I want, one-on-one, and for the fraction of the price as offline classes. I thought, how is this even possible? I immediately signed up with 2 teachers in Norwegian. One teacher, we would have conversation lessons and go through a textbook, and with the other teacher, we would go through worksheets and chat about random things. So, essentially, I structured the classes in a way that would suit my own learning style, which never would have happened without italki. Within a year, I was relatively fluent in Norwegian. I was so happy that I could actually go to the country and use the language in a practical setting. And the best part is that I really enjoyed the learning process. I thought, why stop there? I picked up Italian and mixed my interest in Italian cooking with lessons on italki. After learning Italian for a year and going to northern Italy, I was able to easily get around and communicate with people. I then decided to set myself a personal goal of passing an advanced Italian exam, and my teacher on italki helped me to achieve this. I was hooked. I'd found the ultimate formula for learning a language from scratch and staying motivated. I would book a holiday in a new country in 1 year's time so that I could put the language into practice. I did the same with Japanese, French, German, Russian, Czech, and Hungarian, and even explored Chinese, Thai, Serbian, Farsi, and Sicilian. From this process, I made so many valuable friendships and connections that has improved not only my communication, but also my confidence. Whether I'm watching the news in German, reading about Italian politics, speaking to my cats in Norwegian, on the phone to my friends in Bergen, or watching fitness and nutrition videos in Czech, I find a way to get at least some practice of one of the languages every day. I found the best way to stay motivated is to align my interests with my language learning, and in that way it doesn't take over my whole life, which people often believe. I find this way of learning on italki so much fun.
Lingby es una aplicación móvil que ayuda a practicar idiomas de manera instantánea conectando a usuarios disponibles en todo el mundo.
Good morning. It's still morning. Hi and welcome to italki's English classes. I'm Karen and I'm from Johannesburg. And today we are going to be talking about English literature so that you can actually understand English from a different angle, from a different way. So, bienvenidos a nuestra canale. Benvenuti. Willkommen. Bienvenue. It's really lovely to have you here. And vamos a discutir la literatura de inglés. So we're going to discuss English literature. So if Carol, hi, it's good to see you. If you are here, give me a wave and let me know. I know Carol is from northern Italy. I'm trying to see on the live chat, I don't see anybody yet, but it sometimes takes about a little bit of a delay. So I see people on the YouTube channel, and that's good. It's lovely to have you with us. And I will go ahead and we will start the literature. I'm going to keep it, I'm going to write here because I want to know what you know. I cannot begin to cover everything that is classical. So I hope that we will learn together and discuss together. I want to ask you some questions, and I hope that you can answer me. Let me see. Are there any more people? Sylvia. Hola. Or is that I can't tell your surname. Are you from Spain or not? Silince, I don't know how you say that, your surname, but where are you from? Which country? I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa, and it's a nice sunny winter's day as usual, quite crisp and cold. And I'm really looking forward to chatting about the wonderful English literature that we have. Okay, I am going to start. Okay, I'm going to start with some children's literature. Why do I do that? Because if we start with children's literature, we can start with easy language, but we also get to see how the people think in that language. Okay, so if you are really a beginner, you can begin with Noddy and Big Ears. They were detectives, okay? Enid Blyton, an English writer, wrote about them, and they solved crimes. Okay, so that's why it begins from childhood, this interest in crime. We have the English-speaking people have an excessive interest in literary crime, especially murder, but not murder itself, the discovery, the detective side of it. We really enjoy that. Okay, so it begins when we're this small, all right? Okay, then I'm sure that you were introduced to Grimm's fairy tales. You have all sorts of fairy tales. They come from all over Europe. So I think even in South Africa, we read them. So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Pied Piper of Hamelin, the guy who led the children away, they are all a bit fantastic. They're a bit strange, a little bit strange. I remember growing up and not liking them because they were very unreal. Do you know, Carol and Sylvia, do you know Grimm's fairy tales? Do you know Grimm's fairy tales? I was just wondering. And Sylvia, what more or less, what level are you? More or less. Okay, so Grimm's fairy tales, it's always about good and evil and about good triumphing, but not always in the way that you would expect. The good comes out on top, the good wins in the end. Okay. Right. Then there is The Wind in the Willows. Okay, that's this little book. And it's about animals. It's by Kenneth Grahame. And it's about little animals and their stories and how it was at the time of when the motor car started coming. Oh, Carol says she knows Grimm's fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel. Yes. Yeah. The fairy tales can be quite macabre. That's a big word, can be quite strange and dark. Yeah, Sylvia knows Hansel and Gretel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, have you heard of The Wind in the Willows? About the animals. The mole is the first person we're introduced to. Then the rat. Then the badger. Then the toad. Those four creatures, mostly. And Kenneth Grahame wrote it against the motor car because he did not like the motor car. And he also wrote it against communism, which was happening in Russia. There was a big war there because he had all these animals come and take over a house, and then the animals these four animals won it back again because it was Toad's house. And so but it's a delightful story, and I just want to read you some of the delights, and it helps to get into thinking. Okay, so about in boats. Okay, I'll read. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, said Ratty, half so much worth doing as simply messing about in boats. Simply messing, he went on dreamily, about in boats, or with boats, in or out of them. It is not about a farm, it is about an area, the countryside. And in it, Toad actually owns a big house. Okay, they mix people and animals up in the story. They kind of put them together, except for the animals live separately. So in or out of them, it doesn't matter. Nothing seems really to matter. That's the charm of it. Whether you get away or whether you don't, whether you arrive at your destination or whether you reach somewhere else, or whether you never get anywhere at all. You're always busy and you never do anything in particular. And when you've done it, there's always something else to do. And you can do it if you like, but you'd much better not. So that's one of the best quotes on boating and sailing and in the English language. And it's really quite, people will refer to it quite a bit in the sailing world because it's really beautiful. It's just about the adventures of the animals, getting lost, finding their way, finding new discoveries, discovering spring, discovering sunshine. And it really is just beautifully written. It's quite poetic in its approach. Okay, so that's just a lovely story for children to get to know animals. You know, like Beatrix Potter. I don't know if you know her stories, also about animals in the countryside, except for hers are younger children. And then again, I've mentioned Enid Blyton. You get your Secret 7, your Famous 5, your Adventurous 5. All of them are about solving mysteries. So you can see that it's just in us that we must solve mysteries. I think we just want to solve mysteries. Oh, excuse me. I need some air. We want to solve mysteries. All right. Okay. And then I'm going to introduce you to some American ones as well. American, there is Anne of Green Gables. You may have seen the film. I don't know. It's about a girl growing up in a small town and ordinary things happening to her. But again, it's beautifully and poetically written. Then you get Mark Twain. He was a very, very famous American writer, and he wrote Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. And it talks about the Americans in the 1800s, I think, and it talks about slavery and people going from slavery. It talks about orphans, about poor people. It talks about the social conditions of the time, but it was also about freedom. So all of this is background to the little boy, who's quite an independent little boy. And all of that is going on in the background. And then moving forward in time, Just William is also about a little boy in England. Actually, this is England now. And he's also very independent and got a great imagination. So a lot of English literature is written about very independent children. So the children are the characters. There are no adults in their world, or almost no adults. Sometimes a mother, sometimes a policeman, but really very, very independent. Carol says she knows Tom Sawyer. Yeah. Have you seen the film or have you read the book, Carol? The book is well written. Mark Twain was a very, very good writer, and he exposed some issues for us to read. Okay, so Carol says she's done both. Okay, Sylvia, we're going to some more adult literature now. Okay, all right. Then who knows about Shakespeare? Okay, you all know about Shakespeare. I'm sure. did you have Shakespeare translated into the English language, into your language? I don't know. Did you have Shakespeare translated into your language? Shakespeare was a very, very famous author in the Queen Elizabeth's time. So that's more or less 1600. Okay. Sylvia says, yes. Oh, you poor things. You had to write. You had to read them as well. For us, we have to read the difficult English. I don't know if your language, it is difficult, but it is difficult to understand. That's for sure. So at school, we didn't enjoy it much. But Shakespeare, as you know, was around in the Elizabethan times, and he wrote many plays which could be put on stage. That was their entertainment. That was like Netflix or YouTube or movies. Ah, yes. So Sylvia said, I had to study it in English, but we used books that explained the meaning just as well. We did too, so you're not alone. Sheesh, that's pretty hectic. But you can see how Shakespeare wrote about issues of the day, politics of the day, but also about romance, about relationships, about feuding that was happening in his society, fighting. He wrote about the dress that was popular of the day, so we know about it now. He wrote about lots of many things and many different things, but not necessarily the politics of England. Okay, so unless it was historical. So he focused on bringing the language alive, increasing people's vocabulary, but he just spoke about anything in his plays. And Sylvia says it was very long ago. Okay, all right. But Shakespeare is iconic because he wrote so many plays and they were well written. There is a dispute, there is an argument. Maybe he didn't write them, we don't know. But what Shakespeare does is bring you to understand some of the mentality, the thinking at the time, but he also, because he rewrote many stories that were floating at the time. So it wasn't necessarily his stories, but he rewrote them, and he wrote them in very good language. And so that set up a standard for the language. Chaucer. Does anyone know about Chaucer? Does anyone know about Chaucer? I'm going to write here. See if I can write here. Okay. Does anyone know who Chaucer was? And have you read any of his books? I had to study Chaucer at school in my final year, and it was not the easiest because it was the language of very early 1200, I can't remember which year. But the language of English was very, very different. It's the kind of English that you study at university. And so he wrote one book, Canterbury Tales, the Canterbury Tales. Ah, Sylvia says it rings a bell. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put here the Canterbury Tales, which is his most famous book. And he just wrote about relationships, about what people spoke to each other. He wrote about people on a journey, and who they met. So you get to see a picture of what England was like at that time. So it is very interesting to read. You get sometimes the language, sometimes it's what people wore. Sometimes it's how they traveled. Sometimes it's the hotels and inns. Sometimes it's the practices that they engaged in. But don't do it without a translation. I can't. So yes. All right. Now tell me, before we carry on, which is your favorite classic English literature? Okay. I'm going to talk about ones that were translated, but from Italian, and others. But let me just check. I think I'm just going to ask you first. It doesn't matter what period. Keep it to classic, so not modern. But which is your favorite classic book? It can be Shakespeare. Chaucer, okay, is similar to our writer Boccaccio. Okay, Boccaccio, all right. Do you have to study Boccaccio in school or perhaps university? Because it's, I could imagine that would be quite difficult. What years did Boccaccio write in? Because I know Italian is a fairly, is a language that's been created a bit later than others. Yeah, you have to study it at school. Okay, now I'm going for the women. I'm going to talk about the women writers. Now, Jane Austen wrote in the 1700s, okay? And she was one of the first women writers that we know of, and women, there was no such thing. No woman was allowed to write. They were scarcely. It was interesting that she had some form of education. But she wrote many romance stories. So you will see the film Sense and Sensibility. And that's about always about marriage and the custom of marriage, and how this person was against that person, and then they liked them, and then there was an obstacle to their getting married, and then they got married. And it talks a lot about the social classes. So people could not marry easily across social classes without okay, I'll come to that, to come to your comment now. So she wrote a lot about the social classes. You could not marry. So even the upper middle and the upper class couldn't really marry easily without a problem, without criticism. But what's interesting in her novels is she talks a lot about the romance and misunderstanding and then understanding, but then always her married people are deeply unhappy. Most of the time, the married people are unhappy or just managing to tolerate one another. Okay, so that's one of the interesting things. So she was a feminist because she got out there writing. I don't know how she got published, but she got published, and that's amazing. She wrote very well. So if you read her writing, some of the words are old-fashioned, and you don't need to worry about the meaning. I don't worry about old-fashioned meaning. But if you want to read it, it's interesting because it talks about social customs, it talks about snobbery, it talks about people being very, very wanting to climb the social ladder, much like today. But it talks about romance, which is also lovely. Carol says that at school and university, he, Boccaccio, wrote many stories about groups of young boys and girls during the plague. That's interesting. Now, that is very interesting. yeah, the plague, like today, was ravaging Europe, and that must have been fascinating. Carol says Jane Austen has a great sense of humor. Oh, I agree with you. She makes you laugh. Her language is easy to understand and it's amazing. I agree. Sylvia says, I remember A Room with a View, which I liked very much. Yes, E.M. Forster, also very, very classical writing. A Room with a View, obviously, is very much about Italy. Sylvia, it looks like you might be from Spain or a Spanish-speaking country. But yeah, I did enjoy the film as well. I haven't actually read, I've read a lot, okay, but I haven't read an E.M. Forster book. There's a confession for you. So those of you who are struggling with English, you might begin with Jane Austen or Agatha Christie, and just enjoy the story. Don't worry too much about learning new words, but just enjoy the story, enjoy the humor, allow them to make you laugh where they can. Jane Austen, Costa Rica, I've been there. It was lovely. Yeah, I was there for 3 days, or maybe 4 or 5 or 6. But yeah, we didn't do much. We didn't go around much. So it was, yeah, but it was a lovely experience. Sylvia says she loves Jane Austen. Both of you, if you love Jane Austen, by the way, you will love Georgette Heyer. I will come to her in a moment, but you will love Georgette Heyer because her dialogue is witty and funny, and the stories she creates are just fantastic. Okay, they would never happen in they might happen in real life, but there's a very slim chance. What's amazing is her use of dialogue, her language, her what we call repartee. Okay, repartee is the talking to each other. In English today, they say banter. Then you have the Bronte sisters. Have you guys read the Bronte novels, like Wuthering Heights or Jane Eyre? Jane Eyre is famous. Wuthering Heights, there was a film, but it's not very famous. Jane Eyre is very famous for its film about a young girl who goes to you do know this. You guys are so well read. Jane Eyre is about a young girl who goes to live, I think, as a governess, yes, in a house, and she falls in love with the master. But the master, his wife is mad, and she's living in the attic. That's what happened, and then somehow his wife dies in a fire, or she jumps off the roof, and then Jane Eyre and the master get together, the master of the house. Yeah, so it's a really fantastical story. All these old-fashioned stories have massive imaginations, like crazy imaginations, and today our stories are a bit more mild. Okay, let's go. Wuthering Heights, again, a very dark, entangled story of lovers who don't get together, and the problems that causes in her marriage, and then in his life. And it's all about the class system again. In all these old books, you will see the class system coming through so strongly. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we can talk about that quite as much today as we used to. And then, of course, we have Charles Dickens. Okay, he was rude at the beginning, and then he's amazing. You mean the guy from Wuthering Heights? I can't remember. Heathcliff. I think you mean him. He was rude and simple and uneducated, and then he became amazing. Yeah. But it was still quite dark. And then we have Charles Dickens. Okay, so Charles Dickens wrote in a time of the Queen Victorian era, and he wrote to expose the social problems of the day, because the Victorian era was great, but they started industrialization. Now, I don't know when industrialization started in Italy, or maybe when it started, if it started at all in Costa Rica, but he wrote at that time. So people in the country lost their means of living, their livelihood, because they couldn't use their hands anymore, so they had to go to the city for work. The factories were big, the hours were long, children worked in the factories. There were many people who were mean and nasty to get more money. There was something called the workhouse, or the poorhouse, where people were kind of like put in jail to be looked after. There was debtor's prison. In other words, if you owed money, you had to go to prison if you could not pay it. He wrote about many people who lost their money. Okay, so Carol says, after the English industrialization, so after industrialization started in England, Italy then started with their industrialization. Yeah, thank you. That's helpful to know. I don't know if you had the same social problems though. There were lots of people working for welfare of these poor people, and Charles Dickens was one of them. He, remember, wrote around the time of the French Revolution. It was before the Victorian era. It was slightly before, and then into the Victorian era. He actually wrote. His father was put in a debtor's prison, and that affected him. So he wrote about it very strongly. His most famous one, which is his most famous one, do you think? I personally have an opinion on that. I think everybody knows the story of this one little boy, but he has a sympathy for children. He also writes about children. Which is Charles Dickens's most famous book? I personally think it's Oliver Twist. Let me write that down. Okay, I'll put that under there. Just a moment. Oliver Twist, the little orphan boy who went to an orphanage and who he dared to ask for more gruel, which was food. Okay, he dared to ask for more food. James and the Giant Peach. Okay, James and the Giant Peach is a beautiful children's literature. Yes, I'm talking about classic. James and the Giant Peach is probably a little bit more modern. So yeah, I'm going now. Okay, Carol says, we had this problem in the farm culture too, because there was a chief and then the farmers were very exploited. Okay. So there was, even in the farm culture, there was an exploitation in Italy. But in England, it wasn't that strong. It was strong, yes, but not so much as the industrialized era. So with Oliver Twist, we get this little boy who then becomes a criminal, a pickpocket. In other words, a stealing from your pockets, because he meets other kids who make him feel at home. And then he was going somewhere and he fell sick, and someone picked him up and looked after him. And actually, that person landed up being his relative, was a very wealthy person, and he adopted him. So that's the most famous one. There's also Great Expectations, a very, very odd and interesting love story that doesn't have a positive ending, unfortunately. It's about an old lady who is very bitter that her fiance left her at the altar. And she doesn't ever stop wearing her wedding clothes. She wears them for the rest of her life. Sorry, she's one of the characters, but David, yeah. But the boy, Philip Pip, is the character who loves the girl who Miss Havisham, the old lady, is looking after. And this girl is taught to be bitter. So there's no, Oliver Twist and the Christmas Carol are very famous here. Okay. The Christmas Carol is also a great one. Great Expectations is quite dark. It's strange. So don't expect it to be good, but it's interesting. He always makes you very interested in the story. Charles Dickens does have a problem with very, 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 very long descriptions. But that was what happened during those times, okay? But he wrote extremely well, and he brought issues that to people's attention that needed attention. He gave people funny names too. They're not normal English names. He gave people funny names as well. So you can just look at the names and try and work out what he's trying to mean there. He was very good. Also, he talked about David Copperfield. Also, another story of a boy moving from rags to riches. Yes, Sylvia. Yeah. He, does anyone want to write a sentence about the story of David Copperfield? Just very briefly. It's interesting. Again, it tells a lot about what was happening in England at the time, but not always in the city this time. This time it's more, a lot of it countryside. Okay. So I'm just going to go on to there. Okay. Yeah, it's basically David Copperfield, again, is an orphan brought up by relatives, and he learns to all sorts of things about all sorts of people and how to keep people, be independent and keep money in the house. So how to create his own money. I am going to give you a quote, okay? This quote, and I might actually increase the size of it because it looks a little bit small. This quote, can you tell me where it is from? Okay. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. Epoch is age as well. Okay. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. So, Carol says, yes, it is famous too. I assume David Copperfield. What is this from? Now you can see it's a very good piece of writing because he's saying that it could be our times right now. Okay, it could be our times in some ways. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. What is he writing about? It is the tale of two cities, London and Paris, at the time when Paris was having all those people being killed on the guillotine, the French Revolution. So not 1789, but a little bit later than that, when more and more people were killed. And so it tells you a story about a couple in London and then about an aristocrat in France and how this aristocrat, noble person, behaved badly. Yes, it's a novel, that's right. Yeah, this noble person behaved badly, so he was going to be beheaded. No, anyway, the people in London were trying to save some of the people in France. So one of the men who, yes, he was, there was a nobleman who was behaved badly. His son or his nephew went to England, and married this girl. And then he went back to save more people. And there was a man who looked like him who was British. And the guard, the National Guard, the policemen, soldiers, grabbed this guy, the English guy, the guy who was married, and the English guy stood in his place, swapped places with him, and was beheaded in place of him. It's a very interesting story because the man who swapped places with him was a very bad man. So it's just very fascinating, the whole story and what was going on in the towns at the time. You get very strong emotions from reading the book, but it's one of the best. I like that one the best, I have to be honest. Okay, then who knows Robert Louis Stevenson? Okay, who knows Robert Louis Stevenson? I'm just trying to go in time order as much as possible. It's also about the same time. And he wrote what? Treasure Island. That's right. He wrote Treasure Island. He wrote during the time when the Brits were exploring the world. And he wrote about a man who was on a ship and got shipwrecked on an island. And he had one, there was one person on that island. Okay, gosh, you guys are well read. Scary sometimes. Okay, I'm just aware of the story. I must admit, I haven't read it. It's a little bit, the language is a bit old-fashioned for me, so I didn't enjoy it. But the story is very interesting. How he got shipwrecked, he had a servant, their relationship, and then how he got back home. And yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. And then Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling, the one below, is that the Robert Louis Stevenson is the photo on the right. Rudyard Kipling also, the time when English were exploring the world. And Rudyard Kipling wrote about the Indian situation. So he wrote The Jungle Book. Do you know the children's story, The Jungle Book? You know, when this little boy finds a bear and a panther, black panther, and he makes friends with them, and then they help him to go back to the village because he's always been brought up by animals. Okay, so that's a lovely little story. But yeah, he wrote a very, very, very famous poem called If You Can Keep Your Head When All About You Are Losing Theirs. It's something to do with sending his son off to a war. And if you want to read, look it up. It's the poem If, or yeah, you will see it on the literature. It's definitely there. Okay. Just to mention some South African literature. I don't know, who knows South African literature? Mowgli, yes, that's right, the little boy being Mowgli. Carol says, I personally don't like this period of literature a lot. It's too adventurous for me. Okay, fine, that's great. No worries. Sylvia was saying Mowgli, that's the Jungle Book. One of the most famous writers in our country, she also lived in about the late 1700s, 1800s. And she wrote The Story of an African Farm. It's just about a young girl growing up, and it's very philosophical. So it's very famous. It tells about the race issues already, way back 200 years ago. And it tells about all sorts of things it tells you all sorts of things about a new country. Because it's in the desert, it's set in the desert. Okay, so that's just to let you know about a well-written book from South Africa. Okay, and then here, all right, now who knows George Orwell? 1984 and Animal Farm. It's very, 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 very relevant for today, this times of coronavirus. People say they wrote it, that he wrote it for this time. It's incredible how alike his story was. He wrote before 1984 about how we were going to be watched all the time, how we were going to be controlled, both in 1984 and Animal Farm. Although Animal Farm, he was criticizing communism, okay? But in both, it's about the control of normal people. If you haven't read it, I would recommend reading 1984 for now and Animal Farm. Yes, Carol says Daphne du Maurier is fantastic. This is not time order. Okay, Daphne du Maurier has got a way of writing that's a little bit dark, very, very deep psychologically, and you don't know sometimes what the truth is at the end of the story. Okay, you're not entirely sure. You have to make up your mind what the truth is. Rebecca, Jamaica in all these stories, there's a little bit of possible murder in, possible psychological manipulation. And she writes about Cornwall in England, which is her favorite place. I'm going down the list. Harper Lee is very much more modern, than previous. Harper Lee is a chap in America who wrote a book, To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was to try, in the South, there were lots of race issues, and he wrote about that, a black man being wrongly accused of murder. And all Harper Lee wrote about this man and the white lawyer who was his friends, and how that caused danger to the family. And it was just a big, it was a big issue. Yeah, it was talking about all these things that needed change, and which some change did come in the end. Then John le Carré is more modern, and okay, Birds and Rebecca the First Wife, she's talking about Daphne du Maurier. Her language is simple for me. Yeah, good. That's good to know. Harper Lee is also a very good language. You will understand it. Okay, so John le Carré is a spy story. Okay, he was actually a spy. So then he started writing spy stories, and he made them very popular. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy was probably one of his first ones, one of his most famous ones. And it's actually about the story of the Great Betrayal in England. There were two top people in the spy agency in MI6 or MI5 who were traitors, and they went to Russia. Okay, they were not treated well in Russia, but they went to Russia. Then The Constant Gardener this is something you will find exciting, and I think you will really enjoy it. The language is very understandable. It's about Big Pharma, okay, the pharmaceutical companies. So you will enjoy that because it's about the underworld of the big pharmaceutical companies, and he did research. So it was properly researched what is actually happening today. Well, a few years ago, and it's very interesting. Okay, so who knows James Herriot? James Herriot, the vet, wrote stories about his encounters with animals and the farmers. Tell me, do you know James Herriot? James Herriot you will enjoy, I can promise you. His language is very simple, but what I love about James Herriot is that he is very, 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 very funny. Okay. Yeah, every chapter you laugh. And the one thing you will not understand easily is he has written the accent, the Yorkshire accent from England. But it's not too difficult. If you know English, Sylvia and Carol, I don't see that you will have any problems. Look for his books, James Herriot, the vet. Okay, it's very funny. And yeah, it's just delightful. It's very positive. Then, of course, okay, tell me about Agatha Christie. Do you know her language? Her books, I think her language is easy to understand. Her stories, the words are up to date. I think if you don't understand a word, you quickly can skip it and you will still understand the book. It's light, it's not heavy. It's about a world that we don't know, but we like to know. I hope that you know her books, because they're fascinating. There's always a bit of a light, tiny bit of romance somewhere, but it's about mystery, about solving murders, detectives, and about village life. It's about the social structure as well. It's about big houses, a world that she knew. And then Georgette Heyer. Georgette Heyer did write some mystery stories, which are also very, very interesting, like Agatha Christie. But her amazing thing was to write of the Georgian times, the King George time, during the time of King George, and about love stories in that, and the social structure, and how there was obstacles. And she's the one that I said her dialogue is some of the wittiest ever written in any English stories. Okay, so Carol says yes, but the stories are complicated. You never understand the killer. Are you talking about Agatha Christie? That's interesting. Okay. That's very fascinating. So she's too complicated in terms of her storyline. Very interesting. All right, and then my last mention is a few that Jules Verne wrote around the world in 80 days. He wrote science fiction back in the day, all right? Back in the Victorian times, he wrote science fiction where he said it was possible to go around the world in 80 days. Now it's possible to go around in 2. He also wrote about submarines and I think space exploration as well. But he was a science fiction writer, very famous. Not, yeah, his language is probably very easy to understand in Around the World in 80 Days. And then we have some others. The most famous, okay, now I'm going to write an Italian. One of the stories I love very much is Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose. Okay. He is one that it's well written in English. Okay, so if you've read it in Italian or in Spanish, do read it in English, because the English is just brilliant. The translation was superb. And you will enjoy it once again for the research, for the medieval times that he wrote about, for the traditions in the monks. He just wrote an amazing story in The Name of the Rose. I don't like his other stories. I find them too postmodern. But this one is only slightly postmodern. So that's iconic literature in English because it is so well written. 20 Leagues in the Submarine, yeah. 20 Leagues Under the Sea. Yes, that's Jules Verne, Silver. Yeah, 20 Leagues Under the Sea. You're right. He wrote about, this is Jules Verne, who wrote about going in under the sea in a submarine. He was amazing in the things he thought of before they actually happened. Do you know the Commissario Montalbano by Camilleri? No. Camilleri. Sorry, Camilleri is, sorry, it's Italian. No, if it is Italian. No, I don't. Is it, it's also well translated? Is it about the Italians who went to some Greek island? I'm not talking about Corelli's mandolin. I'm talking about another story. Okay. So yes, they did go to a Greek island during the war. I've just heard about it actually. But I know Corelli's mandolin, so I think it's a similar story as far as I know. But I'd like to read it once we can get allowed to go to a library again. But there we go. That's a summary of some of the English literature and some suggestions for you to read, including where language is a bit more simple. Okay, so there's a fiction translated in English. Okay. Carol says that it's not that that work is not translated in English, but there is a work that is translated in English. Yeah, so I've enjoyed chatting with you. It's been fantastic. And thank you very much for your participation and for your engagement. I hope that I've stimulated some desire to read some books, especially like James Herriot and Georgette Heyer, and that you will really enjoy them. Georgette Heyer does have old-fashioned language, but don't worry about it, okay? I don't know the meaning of those words, and I don't look them up. They just add color to the story. I don't read it for meaning, but for color. So there we go. Lovely to have chatted to you today, and I hope that you really enjoy your reading in the next couple of weeks. and I look forward to chatting about travel and tips tomorrow. There are other people who are chatting about other things on the online. So look at the schedule, and there's some very interesting things. So have a look and see if you would enjoy those. Okay. All right, Carol, thanks for being curious, and enjoy your reading, Sylvia, as well. All right, take care then. Bye-bye.